What you doing? I'm your Otakutainment, the AC Stores with this Otakutainment reviews for Weekly Shonen Jump, issue 16, 2025. Just thinking my way through this. This is a short issue, but a pretty big one for some of the series. But if you are watching this live with me, like right now, you can jump in whenever you like. We can talk about whichever series you want. I can even go back to some if I already talked about it. It's whichever. If you're watching this in the future, feel free to jump into future streams, Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, so you don't miss out on the good live action stuff that happens, whatever that may be. Or, you can just chat and comment and all that stuff in the future, wherever that is too. But if nobody else has anything they want to talk about right away, I will start with my new way of doing it. Instead of going least popular on Manga Plus like I did for most of the other issues, I am switching up to doing what I was least interested in, the worst series of this issue. So I'll start there and go to my favorites. So starting with a kind of surprising, it's not overall my least favorite series, but it was a pretty weak chapter this week. Yeah, sure. It is Kill Blue. Page 93, Norin at the Brink. This one just did not do it for me. There's really not much to it. It was mainly Norin freaking out about being in love with Ogami. Of course, not knowing Ogami's a middle-aged adult. Which, theory Norin might be too, so it might be okay in the end. But for now, we just know Norin as a child, a middle schooler, even worse. Anyway, so Norin's just freaking about that. Anytime the word love comes up, Norin's like, just whatever. And being around Ogami is just like, I can't do this. And blah, runs away, skips class to go to the beach with Otomihime. Talks a bit, reveals pretty much what's going on. That there's really not much that comes from it. Because there's not like some big revelation, it's like that's what I should be doing. It's just like, yeah, they talk. And then we cut at the very end to Ogami, who's about to go into the student council office to ask questions about how to also be part of it. That's it. It ends right there. So like I said, there's just not much to it. Not much to talk about. So it's whatever. Now, next one shouldn't be a surprise. Anyone I watched before. It's Hema 10, number 34, Beachfront Leading Ladies Part 2. And as you can see, if you were watching this, it has to open with a bath scene, of course, doesn't it? It has to keep perving out children. Look, I get it. This is supposed to be aimed towards teenagers, but there's a point when all you have is to just be this perverted scene, or just showing it. I don't know. This is all the story has going for it, which means there's not much story going on. This one has a little bit, but not really. So the bath scene. The only redeeming part of this chapter is Mayu, really, who's asking about their crushes. Typical bath dialogue, I guess. I don't know. And it's purposely just to cause everyone else here to expose their feelings. Mayu knows what's up. Last week, I complimented, what's the person name? Hang on. Yokomizo. Mayu's taking that role this week, knows what's up, asking just to expose feelings. Basting over, everyone's kind of in denial, kind of keeping stuff secret, so didn't get much from it, except for Mayu is at the end I have a crush on Yamori, just to watch everyone freak out, and then it's like it's a joke, and we know it's a joke, because Mayu's just cool like that. Then we switch over to they're watching a scary movie, also picked out and planned by Mayu, purposely to get Yamori on the couch with the other three, just to cause some of that little drama. So it's all being orchestrated by Mayu, the redeeming part of this chapter. And then it ends with Iomori and Yoshino supposed to be going to the store to get snacks, I think, something like that. End up just stopping, watching the ocean, and just talk about Yoshino not wanting to root for Iomori to get in with Kanai because it means Iemori won't work anymore. And Iemori's like, yeah, that's fine. You don't have to root for me, blah, 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 all that stuff. That's really the only story part, kind of legitimate story part of this. But yeah, besides that, it's just like, if it wasn't for Mayu, the rest of the chapters would be like, what's the point of this anymore? I don't know. Anyways, let's continue on to. I feel like these were the actual 2 chapters I just really didn't care about. The rest are like decent enough that I actually struggled a little bit on where should I put these. It starts with Astro Royale, chapter 45. Love is Conquest. What the fuck does that mean? I don't know. It kind of makes sense. Okay, let's talk about it, and then let's see if I can convince myself that makes sense. So there's some fighting. It's mainly about Shikawa's backstory. It has some interesting art with it, that I can say that. And then I guess where the title comes in is Shikawa was abused by the dad. Mom was too, but mom fell in love with dad, but Shikawa still loved dad. But then the dad disappeared, taking everything as well. I guess that's how Hibari ends up as an orphan alone, blah, blah, blah. And Shikawa's idea of love is to take everything, because that's what Shikawa's dad did. So take everything for himself. That's it. But honestly, it makes no sense. None of this is making any sense, and it hasn't at all. I don't know if I'm missing something. If there's, I don't know, because what does Shikawa and Hibari's connection have to do with any of this? Like, while they're fighting, Shikawa gets Hibari on the ground. There's kind of like a flashback to that, and Shikawa's like, "I'm gonna take everything from you." Hibari's like, "That's fine. I'm not gonna take anything from you," but it makes no sense. So I don't really get what's going on. Just this whole thing, like, yeah, all the siblings are trying to be bad, but they're actually still good. It's like, I get that's what you're going for, but it makes no sense why they're being bad and how they're still good and all that stuff. It's just it feels really forced, especially once we get to the big bad brother. Shio, is that the person? I don't remember anymore. How you gonna try to redeem that one? So it's just like, it's whatever. So, but we can move on to the Elusive Samurai, chapter 195, Master and Pupil 1351. This one was okay. It was mainly actiony stuff, some acrobatic action. But for some reason, randomly, it feels like it opens with Kojiro using Sheena as a weapon, as a way for Sheena to relax, rest up. I don't know. But it just opens with that. I felt a little random. I guess it's something. And then, like I said, most of it is Tokiyuki doing some acrobatic fighting with Fubuki, and then failing to land moves that Fubuki's the one that taught in the first place, so it makes sense. And then it ends with like a weird reveal about Fubuki being like, oh yeah, your 3 wives, or the animals, help Tokiyuki get stronger. Well, the way Fubuki got stronger was eating the sister and killing the dad, which made me wonder, man, I hope that's not a sex thing. But if it's not a sex thing, it's a cannibal thing. So I don't know which one's worse. It might be a metaphor thing. I got stronger than my sister. Not literally ate in any way, because that's weird, but why would you say it like that? You ate your... It's weird. That's just weird. But yeah, that's it. There's that weird reveal at the end, but the rest was kind of like, flowy, acrobatic fighting, which was kind of nice. But I'm not that huge into action. So let's move on to Witch Watch 194, Student Council Recruitment. This one stayed at the bottom for a while. Well, until the others, of course, popped in. Just because it just feels so random. And I don't know, but it had like humorous moments, which I think is what helped it. I don't know. So there's some stuff with Rabuka, just like borrowing different things from each other, whatever. Most of it though is like a search for student council members, and if I remember correctly, Jekyll's probably going to be the next student council president. and then just follows around the current president, who is also trying to recruit new members. Most don't want to. Fran, I think, being one of them, and refusing. Then Fran hits Jekyll with some kind of antenna on accident that makes Jekyll do the opposite of everything, like talking backwards. Instead of like stopping, you running. Instead of running, you just stop. Stuff like that. And for some reason, it doesn't get through Jekyll's head, so there's just a bunch of chaos of chasing Jekyll around instead of just stopping. But I guess you can't stop because you run. It's a whole bunch of confusion. But eventually, after all this chaos, Rabuka comes out, cuts off the antenna, and then actually decides to join the student council. And that's pretty much the chapter. I probably would put it lower. I might have put this one lower than Astral Royale. It was, I don't know, it just was weird to me. I couldn't get into it. I don't know why I kept putting it lower. I think it's because when I'm reading it, the action stuff I don't care that much about. But now that I talk about it, I see more why other stuff is significant and something isn't. So, which watch would probably be lower? Probably below Astral Royale. Now, moving on to Nui's Exorcist, Chapter 90, Rapid Growth. You know, if you listen to me before, I don't really care about Nui's Exorcist. It's a mess. I kept seeing things like it was the number one voted for animation, and I don't get it. I know why people want to animate it because of the horror aspects, but the story aspects is just a mess. But what it is Nui has been planning to get Gakuro a girlfriend for a while because it's supposed to help power up, which is, I guess, where the title Rapid Growth is supposed to come from. So Nui holds a meeting to tell all the girls Gakuro will ask one of them out at the summer festival, which is in 2 days. And honestly, Nui's scheming is what helped this chapter out. Because it's like, I get it, we kept seeing this and it kind of seems like, you know, cheesy manga stuff. But knowing like it's all part of Nui's plan, it kind of helps it make a little bit more sense. But that's whatever. Then after this meeting, everyone's about to be like, oh, what's going to happen in 2 days? But Shira actually takes the initiative, goes and confesses to Gakuro right after, while everyone, of course, eavesdrops. And then there's like some kind of glowing or energy or something going on with Gakuro. I don't know what it is. Maybe that's the rapid growth too. But yeah, that's all that really happens in this chapter. Not much. Really, it's just the scheming of Nui that helped me along. But no, it's okay. The whole Shiro arc that we just finished made no sense to me. None of it. It's weird. I don't know. Just story's just a mess. I hope it recovers because some parts were cool, but then it's like, I don't know what you're doing. Yeah. Anyways, moving on to Me and Roboco, Kawasaki, Frontal, and Roboco. This one, no, it's pretty funny. It's decent. Just, you know, about as gag manga as it can get. Me and Roboco, the actual series, is doing a collabo. What it says is collabo with Frontal, the soccer team. So the whole gang is at a soccer game, watching or trying to watch. But there's a rival team, the Kusotel, who delayed Frontal's arrival with filling the street with banana peels. Yeah, it's silly. I told you it's as gag manga as it can get. So, like, the main guy has to be the one to play long enough, at least to stall until Frontal gets there. And then they do. There's a lot of cheating. And then Frontal gets there and just makes Kusotel give up pretty easily. But there was just all kinds of stuff, like putting plexiglass in front of the goal. They get a truck at some point. It's so dumb. There wasn't too much sense to it. It was a little bit too much nonsense, which is why it's kind of lower. But if we move on to the next gag manga, also next one on my list, Super Psychic Policeman Chojo, number 54, the senior police officer and superior. This one was a little bit better. I still didn't get into it as much as I normally would, but it does at least pick back up pretty much immediately, simultaneously, while Ippongi was at headquarters. Chojo's peer from training Kuro Mikage visits, And really, it seems like Mikage's just there to look down and talk shit to Chojo about being in a different, more manly station that Chojo wouldn't be able to handle, blah, blah, blah. And then when Ippongi does return, the Mikage gets all flustered and scratches out a wall, done weird, nervous, embarrassed stuff, whatever. And then I guess Ippongi returns to headquarters, and Mikage also is there for some reason. I don't know, they just both end up there. And then Mikage hears the other rumor we heard at the end of the last chapter about Chojo and Ippongi dating. And then Mikage comes back and tries to fight Chojo for it, which is dumb because Chojo has psychic powers. Mikage knows this. Apparently that doesn't matter. And then Chojo easily just restrains Mikage. No problem at all. And then Ippongi comes back, stops the fighting. The fighting already stopped. Prevents any more fighting. And then Inukai pops up because Inukai also heard the rumor. To try to confront Chojo about it, but then Ippongi immediately stops, and Mikage is just dumbfounded that Ippongi is doing this to supervisor people above Ippongi in rank. And yeah, that was pretty much it. It was some silliness. I like how it picked up immediately after the other chapter. That was cool. Yeah, we got a random character. It was not too bad. A little better. And not what I expect. Any kind of continuity from gag mangas like this. Not something I always expect. So, let's see. What is next? Okay. Shinobi Undercover. Chapter 25 looks great on you. Wow, I don't think I read the chapter title. But it makes no sense. Well, it kind of does. But it's also sarcasm, if anything. So this one was pretty kind of straightforward. I don't know. For the most part, it was just Yotaka and Hibari fight Kawasami. Hibari mainly just insulting Kawasami's glasses, which is looks where he comes from. Then there's just some fighting. It was kind of a struggle, but for the most part, Yotaka and Hibari seem to handle it. And then they do. And they seem to win, or at least knock Kawasami around or down. Who knows? I don't think the fight's over. But what does happen is they break Kawasami's glasses, which Kawasami seemed to have some kind of attachment to. They're expensive, at least. Aside from that, we do get a little bit of background information about Kawasami, and apparently disappeared as a kid, disappeared as a kid, about 11 years old. Parents also died or disappeared, something like that. And the other thing we learn is Kawasami is also good at throwing things, which you haven't seen, so that's another reason why I'm expecting there's going to be another side of Kawasami that we haven't seen yet. This is only the first part of the fight. And then Morin is just down for the count, I think. It's trapped under rubble. We see it briefly, but then doesn't pop back up later. So yeah, that was kind of it. I think revealing some information for Kawasami and the humor of it and the glasses part is what helped this chapter for me. But besides that, it was kind of just straight up more fighting too. And then just more antagonistic, like Kawasami being to Yotaka, if you want to protect Aoi, blah blah blah, and kind of that, trying to ingrain some doubt into Yotaka, but it's not working. So there's stuff coming out of it, nothing too phenomenal yet though. Now, on to Ultimate Exorcist, Chapter 36, the 6th Demon Lord Hydraco. This one was more humor and clever, if anything, but also very predictable. Pretty much I was like, oh, this is going to happen, and then it happened. So, it pretty much, Harai's facing, this demon Lord Hydraco, who is obsessed with Roth. And I say fighting, but it's a lot more of it is tricking. It's more Harai taking attacks and then tricking Hydraco somehow, because Harai has to help the other exorcists that are poisoned right now. So I was like, oh, okay. At some point, Harai's going to have to trick Hydraco into revealing the antidote for this, which happened. Literally, at some point, Hydraco just holds up a vial and is like, yeah, this antidote, whoop! Okay, here, drink this. It's like, okay. And then I was like, well, how do you beat this? For some reason, Harai doesn't just beat, physical combat. But then I was like, I don't know, you probably turn poison against Hadrako at some point, and that's exactly what happens too. Hadrako's like, I'm going to cover this whole city in a poison that even I'm not resistant to, and then Harai's just like, okay, you're contained in like a little cage thing, and then that's what does it. It's like, okay, that was it. Yeah, okay, sure. So like, it was more silly, somewhat clever, kind of predictable, and then at the very end, at some point, Hadrako got a bite on Harai. Oh, because Harai broke like Hadrako's mask. Turns out to be more of a, I don't know, look like a girl, I guess. Still a demon, but whatever. That caused Harai to drop guard just a little bit, and then Hadrako bit. Didn't really see him do much, but then at the very end, Harai remembers that bite and then turns into a baby. That's it. For some reason, turns into a baby. And then who pops up but Isugi to find the baby and then eventually realize it's Harai. So just a little bit more comedic stuff to throw in there. Don't know what that's going to be. I almost thought it was like, oh, Harai's just going to still be like a baby going around kicking ass. And it still could be, but guess we won't know for sure until next week. So we'll just have to wait. Now next, surprisingly higher in my list than I expected. Sid Craft, Love is a Mystery. Case 16, The Girl in Pursuit in the Lovely Inner Conflict. Kind of a nice title. I guess it makes sense. So, what's happening is Sid and Soulful are tracking a drug dealer through red light district disguised as workers, just like the people who stay on the street trying to get people to come in. I guess they also go in and help too, but that's pretty much what's happening. After finding the other druggie, I don't know if it's the boss or just someone the drug dealer's dealing to, it turns out to be someone that works like as a hostess or whatever they're called in these kind of establishments. But then it's discovered right away. I don't know why you shout it out or don't just detain him first. I don't know. The drug dealer is able to escape, but while doing so, knocks over some stuff that will crush another person. But Soulful jumps in, saves that person, but gets hurt. And then it's okay. But then Soulful's boss comes, or is already around actually, and starts talking shit about how Soulful was dressed and blah blah blah. All this stuff isn't taking the job seriously, and then Sid politely comes in and turns that shit back around on the person and is like, oh well, you're wearing this nice suit, you are already around here, you didn't help do anything, it looks like you're being super careful not to get anything in your suit, blah 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 blah, that stuff. It's like, oh yeah, get shit on. So yeah, and then just talking about how, yeah, even despite Soulful being in this dress, still willing to get hurt and go after, get dirty, all that stuff, so it didn't really matter. So it's nice. And then we see next day, I guess sometime in the future, Soulful stops by and is now in more feminine looks. So yeah, most of that, and what I really appreciate was just Sid shitting on the boss like that, politely, intelligently. And just showing the double standards, like, well, yeah, you're doing the exact same thing, except for shittier, except for you're not actually doing stuff. Soulful's doing even more. So that was nice. I just appreciate that, which is, I guess, how it got so high. Ooh, next one, Blue Box. 188, When You're Lonely. Okay, there's not really much, as far as I remember, there's not really loneliness talk or aspects of loneliness in this. Huh. Okay, so Taiki and Chinatsu are pretty much just waiting / warming up inside the gym to get picked up. And they're just mainly talking about things of how they got there, stuff as kids, like coincidences, stuff like that, about supporting each other in the future, and if there were anything in the past that would change, which kind of did, maybe not actually seriously, but Chinatsu says something like, yeah, maybe I could win in music. Yeah, tone deafness may have been different, who knows, stuff like that. So it's nothing too phenomenal, or like nothing like that out there. It's like, oh, this is deep. It's like, okay, this is kind of nice, kind of deep, I guess, but it's nothing too new or really that necessary. But I mean, it's something. And then to wrap up the chapter is Chinonsu kisses Taiki through a scarf, and Taiki freaks out. It's like, oh, I'm too hot and bothered now. I gotta get up and walk it off. That's pretty much the chapter. It was simple. It was just nice. Just a nice chapter. I don't know. Like, not much to it. It's just the little bit of information we got. I was like, oh, we get to see these characters connect a bit more. But also, I'm like, it's 188 chapters in. This is stuff that feels like would have been talked about already. So, I don't know. It was okay, but then it's also like, okay. It was something. Yeah, you gave us something. That's about it. So, yeah. Now, another big surprise. I didn't expect Star of Beethoven to be this high up on the list this week or ever, but this is Star of Beethoven, number 6, Locked Memories. This is an important chapter. Chapter in general took a turn I did not expect. So, Yasu has started to practice Appassionata. I don't know if Yasu had already learned the music and is just practicing again, or is learning all of it from scratch and is phenomenal at sight reading. I suck at sight reading so much. I'm sure people are really good at it. I'm sure Yasu's at that point, but I'm just so bad. So there's no way I could pick up a new piece of music and just start playing it. I'm just not that good, especially not piano. But I'm getting better. I actually just start practicing more. But overall, Beethoven is actually not getting upset about missing notes, making little mistakes like that, because, I mean, it happens. Beethoven acknowledges Yasu's rusty. That's the whole point of this practice, to knock that rust off. But does get, like, a little violent about not doing enough expressiveness, which, to me, makes more sense. Now, after all my years of music, I get expressiveness is more important than anything to really make the music into something. Like notes, yeah, but it really is a sheet of music. It really is just like a guideline kind of deal. My whole way of thinking about music really changed after Your Lie in April, but I get the expressiveness too. Like, yeah, you can get the notes, but the notes is actually the easiest part. Actually expressing it as yourself, how you want to, that's something completely different, and where the actual talent is of being expressive, not just having expressions. But then Beethoven's using metaphors involving alcohol. Fuck yeah, put a little exclamation mark on that. And then women too. Yasu's like, I can't drink. I have no experience with love, or I guess stuff like that, romance, whatever. And Beethoven's like, okay, go get a drink, go get a lady, blah blah blah, stuff like that. And Yasu just brushes it off. It's not that big of a deal. But then it also questions Beethoven. It's like, okay, well, what were you thinking? What was your thought process behind writing this piece? Beethoven tries to think about it, and then we see like some kind of mysterious figure. It's just like, no, stop that shit. And Beethoven's like, oh, can't remember. But Yasu's playing actually does bring back some memories. Which is someone, I don't remember who ever said the name, but someone is looking forward and is excited to hearing Lewis's new music. I don't know if Lewis is Beethoven. I don't know if this is actually Beethoven and Lewis is someone completely different who thinks they're Beethoven. Maybe? Nah, who knows. But yeah, that was it. That was the memory, and it helps, kind of. But now, after all that, it's time for Yasu's audition, which I have to wait till next chapter. So, yeah, just this mystery, whoever this figure is, if there's something up with all of this, it's not just going to be some kind of like someone going to school for music. It actually is going to have some kind of mystery, so maybe something slightly sinister, I don't know, with whoever this Beethoven is. So, I'm kind of looking forward now more to where this series is going to go, because it's just not what I expected. Now, on to Akane-banashi, Story 150, Ignorance. This one is one I put up high just because, in general, I'm just a fan of the series. And it reveals some stuff, but there's actually not that much going on in it. First of all, there's a little note. If you look on the title page, it says Rigoku Supervision, which it always does. Kikuhiko, Hayashiya formerly Keiki Hayashiya. Congrats on reaching Shinichi. It's like, oh, wow, that's nice. So yeah, congrats to you. I mean, that's just a cool thing to include. And so I didn't really think about it. I was like, oh yeah, this is a supervision. And then it's like, oh yeah, you're applying stuff we're learning in the manga to real life people now, real life situations. It's like, oh, okay, that's kind of neat. So now to the actual story though. Akane Isho learns that there are 3 stories you need to master in order to even be able to reach Shiguma's art. One of them being Shibahama, which, you know, we see Akane's dad in the background of that. Then the God of Death, which we see Akane's other former teacher, other Shiguma, I guess, right? That's the person's name. And then, and the third one is doesn't say. Ellipses, maybe that's the name of the story. It's literally ellipses. Who knows? Maybe it said before, I just don't remember. Maybe the third story is called Shiguma's Arc. I don't know. Did it ever say before? But Akane doesn't know any of these. I think has seen God of Death. Of course, has a connection to Shibahama if Dad also did it. But Isho is actually like, yeah, it's good. It's an illusion. It's foolish to chase after this. If your whole point of all this is just to get Shiguma's art, then, I mean, what is the point then? I mean, and I don't know what the point is. It's just a goal, I guess. But really, it's just Isho intentionally antagonizing Akane just to really motivate. And Akane returns the energy, which seems to secretly please Isho. Pretty much what Isho is going for. So that's nice. It's like we're seeing a slightly better side of Isho, and you can tell by how this is going, and the fact that Isho or Akane can talk like this to Isho. That I don't know. That it's like it's a cool, but also I'm so confused as to why Isho expelled all those other people, the other class, including Akane's dad. So it's also confusing. We're getting to see this other side, but now it makes what we knew before even more confusing. So, coming off of this, Akane needs to learn. Well, the first story Akane's wanting to learn is God of Death from Shomei, who we just met the last chapter, but Shomei refuses because doesn't want to waste time on pointless things. So, I'm just going to go ahead and guess that Akane's probably going to spend the next chapter just trying to prove Shomei wrong, that this isn't pointless for whatever. You don't know exactly what that's going to be, but it'll be something. So, yeah, we'll just have to see what that's going to be in the future. Now, next up is, give me a moment. What is the next one? Oh yeah, this one. Where you at? Kagurabachi. This one, still a flashback chapter. So we actually learned the truth about the war / invasion of whoever this other small country was, small nation, and learned that the other side actually did surrender, but the Shinichi wielder, or who they keep calling the Sword Master, wiped them all out. Anyways, it was a disaster. The other enchanted sword wielders had to come and stop and lock him away, which that confuses me. The Samura's whole thing has been they're not heroes or whatever, but it really was just this one person who went and did all this bad stuff. So that makes it a little confusing, but apparently Yura, I know the name now, came to Samura to give a prophecy that this malediction, which is what was referred to as the big attack that wiped out the nation, is going to happen again to, I guess, the rest of the nation or rest of Japan or whatever. Are they even in Japan? I don't actually know that. Or if this is a different world entirely. Huh. I don't know. So wherever their nation is, it'll also happen to them. But I also feel like this is a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's kind of what's going on. So In order to stop it, Samura goes to some other person, talks. In order to stop it, you need to kill the Swordmaster. But in order to seal the Swordmaster away, the other enchanted sword wielders had to also get like connected to somehow. So if that Swordmaster dies, then all of them are going to die. Which whoever the person Samura is talking to says it's not worth it. It's not worth the slim chance of this happening that you also have to sacrifice all your lives to stop it already. But now I'm so confused as why Samura is killing the other sword wielders. None of it makes any sense. I assume there's going to be another flashback chapter to explain why Samura is doing this now. I don't know, because Samura at this point is still, taking care of Iori, who's still training, has gotten really good at imitating Samura and actually being able to fight like that. Even better than, not closing eyes. Does a lot better closing eyes. Something about being able to see and do whatever makes Iori worse. Something about like overthinking things, or maybe when the eyes are closed you can concentrate better. Something like that. So there's going to have to be some kind of turn or twist at some point that completely changes Samura's thinking. So I would expect another flashback chapter next week too. And now, moving on. Only got 3 series left this week. Oh yeah. So surprisingly, not at the top of my list, but still, I like where it's going. Ichi the Witch, 26 Hunt Lord Bakugami. We get pretty much just the little history lesson on how this Magic Bakugami came to be considered like a deity of this village or place. So about 10 years ago, the Princess Richiya found Bakugami just wandering in the streets. And apparently hugging Bakugami made you happy, made you not sad. I want to make that distinction, because I don't know if it makes you happy. It might just be able to help you hide away your sorrows. Something like that. Kind of like alcohol if you think about it. Even though, it's kind of like alcohol. Maybe it doesn't make you happy, but it'll forget your sorrows, which can make you think you're happy. So that's kind of what's going on. Oh, if this turns out to be the alcohol magic, I'm gonna be sad. So yeah, thanks to this, able to completely turn the country around. It becomes one of the biggest tourist destinations, making merch of Bakugami, change the name of the nation to Bakugami. A lot of stuff just going on. It really does seem like it is the savior of this country. At one point, the Witch Association even came and did an inspection on it. It seemed it was fine. But it was only that one time, and ever since then, they refused to allow any other inspection. So, that's a little suspicious. And then we notice, as well as this car is noticed, is that something's up with Richiya's disposition towards Bakugami. Seems not, so happy. Seems a little hesitant, skeptical, maybe, about Bakugami. And as we saw last chapter, it looks like there's something somewhere pulling the strings. So maybe Bakugami is actually good, but it's like possessed by something else that may be bad. We don't know for sure. All we do see at the end of this chapter is Gakuraku and Ichi burst in from above. Ichi unleashes Inazuri, and it doesn't do much, but it's also just like, well, what the fuck? It's like, damn, what an entrance. And we got to see it coming. We saw them coming, falling, and then we see them actually bust through, and everyone's reaction to it. It was great. But yeah, now we get to see. The whole chapter is like, you can't do anything to Bakugami. We forbid it. And then ending with, well, let's fucking attack it. Why not? Yeah. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens next week. I don't expect it to be too nice of a situation going on. Now, and I'm rethinking maybe a little bit. The next one I'm talking about is Embers, Chapter 7, Our School's Most Powerful Weapons. Actually, I'm thinking about this. Maybe I should have put this below Ichi the Witch, mainly because of one little argument I'm going to make. So, the game they were playing, the little audition tryout game, ends with Takami actually scoring 4 goals in total, with the only other goal being on the other side of Inanaki's 1. And then they do the ranking of the top 3, which I actually don't agree with at all. Here was my prediction. My prediction was Takami was going to get 1, Inanaki, of course, got that one. Takami got one. And then at some point in the end, Kagami would sneak one in too. That way, the two A-team ones will still get in, then Takami. And then, because they were supposed to have 2 more spots left, Atani would get on just for the defense reasons. So I thought they were still going to lose, because that was kind of the theme. It would have made more sense and went with the story better if that's what happened. That's not what happened. What happens kind of doesn't make sense and kind of contradicts the whole rules of the whole thing. So, the person who got third was Komigai, who got 0 goals. And remember, the whole point, the top 3 scorers are the ones who will move on to the A team. The A team members didn't score any, then they would get demoted. That's not what happened, and I get it. This whole thing is a team sport. I question why it makes any sense that the requirements is whoever scored the most. Apparently that didn't matter in the end. Maybe it was like a trick. It's like yeah, but that's not what we're actually going for. If you would have had more sense or more of a team player, then you would have figured it out. But yeah, Kaminga got third, no goals, staying on A team. And then the 2 who tied for first, which everyone's like, the fuck, what do you mean? How can anyone tie for first? Was Takami and Haitani, who, like I said, Takami got 4 goals. That makes sense. Haitani also got 0 goals. Inanaki got 1 goal, but didn't make it in the top 3. And I guess it's demoted. I don't know if it actually said it or not that Inanaki's demoted. But did say, yeah, you need to be a team player, which you weren't. And it even said, Inanaki may be one of the best players, but if there's no teamwork. But yeah, it's just not fair. The rules for the tryout were stated at the beginning, and Inaki followed the rules. Inaki got the second most goals. Inaki should have got it. That's why I'm thinking Inaki might still be on the A team, because I feel like I really remember them saying there was 2 open spots. And I don't know. So yeah, I was kind of a little, not upset, but I was like, you're kind of breaking your own rules, and that's kind of shitty to do. Because, oh boy, in real life have I caught out people who broke their own rules, which resulted in me getting screwed over. And oh, did I not react proudly to that? Yeah, so it's just shitty. I don't like when people do that. Stick to your word. And then the other thing is Takami and Inaki, since they tied for first, challenge each other to break the tie, which I think was just, it didn't like lay out what the challenge was, but I assume it was Takami trying to score on Inanaki. Out of 10 rounds, Takami scored 5, meaning they still tied. So yeah, but Haitani's just proud to have, finally win all this, which, like I said, I kind of wanted the losing to go on. I wish the win would have been like an actual first game, but that's just not what happened. And like, I'm not the writer or creator of the story, so it doesn't matter what I say, but I just feel like that would have been better. But yeah, that was it. And now it's the best team. The school's most powerful weapons, that's literally the very end of it. I don't like when they do that with the chapter titles either. They go in and meet the rest of the A team. That was it. So yeah, it's whatever. And now the final series of this issue, which is surprising. There was only 18, and then there was a one-shot called Swimmist. I don't know anything about it. It's not in English, so I didn't get to read it, or it's not officially in English, so I didn't get to read it. But the last series is Sakamoto Days 205, a 3-stage revolution. This one was short, only 12 pages, but it got the point across. Holy shit. The rest of this series or arc is going to kind of be insane, and it could be brutal. I don't know where it's going to go with this. It seems like something a lot darker, a lot more intense than it could be in Weekly Shonen Jump. Maybe? I don't know. So, X reveals the truth of what JA is to the rest of the public. Hijacking, and the TVs and all that stuff, news broadcasts, tells everyone's like, kind of like, what? Okay, sure. But then, like, the actual big, the fuck is this that is going on is apparently they're going to give out guns to every person in Japan with 3 bullets. And they're allowed to use those bullets however they want with no criminal charges, even has the Prime Minister come out to confirm it. Because apparently, I guess there's some kind of thought process that every person seriously considers murdering someone 3 times in their life. Well, I'm not going to confirm or deny that for myself, but it's an interesting thought. So that's why it's a gun for each person with 3 bullets. Oh, and I hate to side with... I'm not siding with X, but it feels like that is an entirely true thing. But it's going to be hesitant at first. This is what I expect, is people to be hesitant. A lot of people are going to get the guns. Some people get them out of security. This is America. This is America, the chapter. It's just going to be shooting. And it's pretty much what I expect. It's pretty much what I've been seeing anyways. Is people like, well, I gotta get a gun because the bad people are going to get guns and they're not going to be afraid to use it. So I gotta be prepared. I have literally seen this talk in real life. Because of current political situations. Especially now. You know, it's been building up to this, but people nowadays are going to have a lot more than just 3 bullets. But yeah, there's going to be some hesitation in the people in this manga at least. But once people start shooting off, they're really going to be popping off, I guess you could say. And it's going to be bad. And I guess our main protagonist group is going to be trying to do things to stop it. I don't know. It's going to be chaos. Oh shit, this didn't need any more pages. I'm usually like, oh yeah, they could extend it. We need more, blah, blah, blah. This one's like, no, you got a point across. Bad shit's about to happen. But, dang, I'm looking forward to that. And that's why it was my top series of the week. Because it did its job. But, that's going to be it for this Otakutainment reviews for Weekly Shonen Jump, issue 16 of 2025. Ooh. Okay, so that was a big one to end on. Gotta collect myself again. So, if you are watching now, thank you so much. Always, of course, feel free to jump in whenever you want. We can chat plenty. If you're watching this in the future, remember you can join my live streams on Twitch Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Talk whenever you want. But if you're in the future now, you know, comment, email, social medias, Discord. I have links to all that stuff, so you can do that. Easy to find. You know, just feel free. I do this so I can talk about manga, especially, you know, like the popular series, if anything. So yeah, feel free to talk about whatever you want. I'm all for it, and I probably will respond and talk to you more than you expected and wanted me to at all in the first place. That's what I do. I keep rambling on like I do now. But so yeah, that's it. Thanks you to everyone. Thank you also to my Ko-fi and Patreon members, Vic Slab and Julio Vasquez. If you also want to help support me on Ko-fi and Patreon, you don't have to. I appreciate either way. Having more and more stuff coming to it, like notes for this and all kinds of other stories and stuff I write. But yeah, and of course shout outs too. So yeah, go for it if you want to, and I will thank you either way. But I have been your Otakutainment, the AC Stores. Until next week, thank you so much, and bye.